So I was kind of hoping to run into somebody off YouTube by coming into Manchester today, and you say there's not many people around. You're here. You've been all over the place, haven't you, doing this? Like London last week, for example, and Blackpool, and more than I'm able to get out, I admit. So just really, you've got a pretty a standpoint there that you won't deviate from, and that's the idea, is to come out and debate people in public. Or people, sometimes they resort to insults, sometimes they'll stay intellectual and they'll go with you and respect where you're coming from and all that. So what made you want to get into doing this on YouTube, the Edge of the Matrix channel?
I didn't want to do this because it's harmful. This ideology is harmful. It's harmful to children, it's harmful to women, and it's harmful to society. It's a war on reality, a war on the truth, a war on freedom of speech, a war on the family. It's there to disrupt society. So you think there's more to it than really people, the liberty of people being able to decide which gender they want to move to? You think there's actually even a subtext beyond that? Absolutely, yeah. This isn't an organic bottom-up movement. It's top-down. It's funded by global billionaire foundations. The Open Society Foundation, George Soros is one of them. And what's the aims of this? Because we do hear a lot about these conspiracy theories about, what COVID was likely for, what wars are for, what they're doing in the 2020s. How does it fit into what you think they want to do this for? They're trying to make people confused. That's one of them. It's a war on the family. So the nuclear family, so it's to speak of. Am I trans? Yeah. What do you think?
So how do you know?
Pardon?
How do you know?
How do I know?
You're not trans, so you don't know.
Yeah. Tell me what trans is.
So that's typical of the debate. You'll get somebody will they'll take offence if they're maybe trans, or that is typical, isn't it, of a street interaction you'll get as well.
That's typical of a lot of them. They'll come, they'll say something, they'll swear, and they'll walk off without debating.
Yes.
Yeah, that's typical.
But some do debate, and they'll spend half an hour to an hour, and you've got an hour long video or more, and sometimes you show a few of the highlights like so many other YouTubers do.
Yeah, I generally put all the videos out unedited.
Yeah.
I might cut little bits out that aren't relevant just to make it a bit more watchable, but I literally put the whole interaction on. I was in Camden last Sunday.
Only last Sunday, wow.
Went an hour. I think it was an hour, 50 minutes or something like that. Maybe, about an hour 40, hour 50 minutes.
And you tried,
I had to split it up into 3 different videos because it was that long.
You got that much material out of it, and Hebden Bridge was that was difficult, wasn't it? Hebden Bridge.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So Hebden's a town in need of a conversation because there's a very loud vocal minority ruling the roost in Hebden Bridge. The vast majority of people, I believe, and from the interactions I've had, don't like what's happening in Hebden Bridge.
No. So
it's like the Rainbow Mafia have taken over.
But obviously, there's a lot with the other point of view. So I think when that person, you got the typical sort of street interaction. You were just saying about what you think they're doing in the 2020s. So it's to take the focus away from the nuclear family was one thing you just said. I think.
Yeah, I mean it's attack on the family, and I've seen many families that have reached out to me that have been torn apart. They're basically teaching the kids this stuff in school, and then they're saying, if the parents don't affirm the child's delusion, then they get social services called on them.
And what we did it'll probably be in your channel anyway, we talked about you don't think there's a compromise with someone who's made the fully transitioned to the gender of female from male and the other way around. So I brought up the example of Stephanie Hirst, who does a network radio show and was once Stephen Hirst back in the noughties, and you don't think there's any case, even if they've made the full transition with surgery and everything about becoming a woman, that they should be able to use female toilets or get sentenced to spend time in a female prison, and just all of that, basically.
Okay, so Stephen Hirst is a man. He can never be a woman, all right? He can have whatever surgery he wants. He can be castrated, have his penis turned inside out to create a neo-vagina, and he can take estrogen, opposite sex hormones, to make him grow man boobs, all right? He's still a man. He cannot transition to a woman. It just doesn't happen. And there's a conflation between sex and gender. You need to get rid of this term gender because it's just a construction which can mean anything that they want it to.
And I would say for more on that, you might put it on your channel, so I might just redirect onto that. If you do, then we'll see how that went there. And maybe just sort of to finish would be What did you kind of do? I think you've gone into it a bit. What did you do in life before you were doing this? You've done things like you've been a fireman, haven't you?
Yeah, my last job was as a firefighter. I was 20 years a firefighter in Greater Manchester Fire Service, and that's when I saw this agenda creep in. In the fire service, I could have identified as a woman and gone in the women's toilets, and I didn't even have to have any surgery, take any cross-sex hormones. I could just go into work and say, I'm a woman today, and then go into the women's toilet.
Now, did you see anyone do that in your fire service? It was just the theory that it could be done.
It wasn't the theory, it was the policy of the company.
Policy. But in theory, it could have happened. That's essentially.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. And then before that, I was in the military for 10 years.
Oh, yes.
Almost 10 years.
And you did something like you went into a conference or something with weapons sales, didn't you? And it was kind of journalistic.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was interesting. I found that interesting.
I left the military. I joined an organisation called Veterans for Peace. And then while I was in the fire service, we got an email to say that the arms fair in London was on in the Excel Centre. So I used my work's email to apply for a ticket, and I got in to see the arms fair, to see how weapons are sold to countries.
So a lot of people more on the left would like to see that, obviously, because there's often demos about it. Yeah. So that's kind of your background as well. So that's whole gender debate, isn't it? Is that some people just want to be recognised for who they even want to be, you might say, or just feel that they are, but there doesn't seem to be a compromise in this debate sometimes between just rigidly viewing the genders as it's male and female no matter what, despite people who may have felt that they are female, more like that, and they want to become female all their lives, and the vice versa, and then this sort of battle over the use of spaces that are segregated by gender, such as the most obvious example, toilets, obviously. But at the moment, people who have done the gender, they can transition, they can go and use those facilities at the moment. So
well, they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah. So
because again, you're conflating sex and gender. So there's only two sexes. There's only two sexes, male and female. Okay. There is such a thing as a disorder of sexual development, which is intersex. But even those
that's an interesting one when you try to get your head around this. Yes.
With those conditions, are still either male or female, and there's about 40 different kinds. But we need to be classified, for safety reasons, by our biological sex, because we've already talked about it. Men should not be in women's spaces. Men are predominantly a threat to women. Sexual predators are a threat to women. Let's not make it easier for them to go in women's
So when
spaces.
I got into that, one of what it was is that we have to then assume that anyone who's made the change would be potentially predatory just because of that. That's the problem with that point of view, I think.
I'm not saying they're predatory because of that. I'm just saying men shouldn't be in women's spaces because it will allow bad people to exploit the loophole.
As I guess.
I'm not saying they all are. I've spoken to men who identify as women and they seem reasonable enough, but they still shouldn't be in a woman's space.
So it's a liberal point of view up to the point of the gender divide itself. Like everything that anyone wants to do, you would be fine with, except for the identifying as the opposite gender from the opposite gender, as you say. Well, so that's yes.
What I'm saying basically, keep it away from kids. When you're an adult, you can do what you want. Although I think they should be protected from surgery because if they identify as the opposite sex, then they're mentally ill. It's a mental illness. Right,
so that's well, thanks for giving your thoughts, and if you just want to see, if you want to go to Edge of the Matrix, you might have more about the debate about what it means for the likes of Stephanie Hirst. I feel like some people really do know when they want to be a woman, and sometimes early on, and that's this debate does come down rather.
They want to be a woman, it won't make them a woman. A man can identify as a woman, it won't make them a woman.
But more than this.
Some things that can't happen. You can have all the surgery in the world, you can take all the tablets and injections and synthetic hormones in the world.
So it
won't change your sex.
So where are you off to? Now, some other places, just in general,
I'm going to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, we're going to try it there. Wow, just on this Tuesday.
To the GenSpec conference.
Yeah. Oh,
Check
right,
out genspec.org. These are what I call the clever people, the psychotherapists. We've got different kind of doctors, lawyers, You know, the academic people that are fighting this gender ideology, I call them the clever people.
So it should be interesting on your YouTube channel after
Yeah.
that, shouldn't it? I
Yeah,
should have
so
thought.
what's
Yeah.
your channel called?
Michael Farry, in my case, is probably what you're watching it on right now, you know. And just as maybe a last thing, I know I said that one was, what is the worst interaction you've ever had, do you think, in terms of people? A bit like that, but where it's got even worse and you've had to defend yourself. I think Chester got a little bit like somebody who was vandalising your borders. Wasn't that bad though, was it? No.
The Liverpool interaction.
Yeah.
I've been attacked with scissors. Well, they tried to cut my board.
Yes.
But I've also been smacked in the face and covered in hot chili sauce in Liverpool. I was covered in soup in Brighton, and someone tried to nick my boards in Brighton. They fucked around and found out, basically.
But it's not a debate when you do that, is it?
No.
I would say from either side, yeah, you've lost when you do that, except for just you. And there's your equipment there. We can see it, just like you know, it's taken over GoPro, isn't it? DJI, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still on the GoPro. I think they're good. And that thing, the Bluetooth microphone, we haven't even got here.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I can hear you all right.
Yeah, I think so.
Could even ask you to send me a record, and that'd be cool. Right, well, thanks very much for also stopping and chatting to me on my channel as well.
No worries.
Right, okay. Well, thanks very much.
Thanks for your time too.